Hello, my dear friends. Today, I want to tell you the fascinating story of a man who changed the business world forever. A man who started with very little and became the world's first billionaire. His name was John D. Rockefeller. When people hear the word billionaire, they often imagine luxury, power, and endless wealth. But Rockefeller's story is much more than a story about money. It is a story about discipline. It is a story about patience. It is a story about hard work. And it is a story about making wise decisions over many years. Most importantly, it is a story that teaches us that success is not created overnight. Great success is usually built little by little, day after day, year after year. As we explore Rockefeller's life, I encourage you to pay attention to the lessons hidden within his journey. Because success leaves clues, and if we study the lives of successful people, we can learn valuable lessons for our own lives. So, sit back, relax, and let's begin the remarkable story of John D. Rockefeller, the world's first billionaire. John Davison Rockefeller was born on July 8, 1839, in Richford, New York. Unlike many wealthy people, Rockefeller was not born into a rich family. His childhood was simple. Sometimes it was even difficult. His father, William Rockefeller, worked as a traveling salesman. He was intelligent and persuasive, but he was often away from home. His mother, Eliza Rockefeller, was a hard-working and deeply religious woman. She carefully managed the family's finances and taught her children important values. Young John learned many lessons from his mother. She taught him honesty. She taught him discipline. She taught him the importance of hard work. And she taught him never to waste money. At the time, these lessons may have seemed simple. But later, they would become the foundation of one of the greatest fortunes in history. Rockefeller's journey toward becoming a billionaire started long before he entered the business world. It started with discipline. Even as a child, Rockefeller showed an unusual interest in money and business. He raised turkeys and sold them. He performed small jobs for neighbors. He saved much of the money he earned. Unlike many children, he carefully recorded his earnings and expenses. He wanted to know exactly where his money came from and where it went. Think about that for a moment. Most children spend money as soon as they receive it. Rockefeller preferred saving it. He preferred planning. He preferred thinking about the future. These habits may seem ordinary, but over time, ordinary habits can produce extraordinary results. Many years later, Rockefeller would say that one of the most important lessons he learned was how to manage money wisely. And he began learning that lesson when he was still a young boy. As Rockefeller grew older, he became determined to build a successful future. After finishing school, he began looking for work. Finding a job was not easy. He walked from office to office asking for opportunities. Again and again, employers rejected him. Days passed, weeks passed, still no job. Many people would have become discouraged. Many people would have given up. But Rockefeller refused to quit. He continued searching. Finally, at the age of 16, he secured a position as an assistant bookkeeper. The salary was small, but Rockefeller was grateful. He understood something that many people forget. Every great journey begins with a small first step. He was not focused on becoming rich overnight. He was focused on learning. And that decision would change his life. As a bookkeeper, Rockefeller learned valuable business skills. He studied financial records. He learned how companies managed money. He observed successful businessmen. He paid attention to details. Most employees simply completed their work and went home. Rockefeller did something different. He treated every day as an education. He constantly learned, he constantly observed, he constantly improved. By the age of 20, Rockefeller had saved enough money to consider starting his own business. This was a risky decision. There were no guarantees. Failure was always possible. Yet Rockefeller believed in himself. In 1859, he entered a partnership with Maurice Clark. Together, they started a produce commission business. The company bought and sold agricultural products such as grain, meat, and hay. The business gradually became successful. Rockefeller worked tirelessly. He built strong relationships with customers. He studied markets carefully. He looked for ways to improve efficiency. The company continued growing. But Rockefeller was not satisfied with ordinary success. He wanted something bigger. He wanted to find an industry with enormous future potential. And soon, he would find it. Around this time, oil was discovered in Pennsylvania. A completely new industry was beginning to emerge. People became excited about the possibility of making money from oil. Many rushed into oil drilling. They hoped to become rich quickly. But Rockefeller saw things differently. Instead of focusing on drilling for oil, he became interested in refining it. Crude oil was not very useful until it was refined into products such as kerosene. At the time, kerosene was becoming extremely important because people used it to light their homes and businesses. Rockefeller believed refining offered greater stability and greater long-term opportunity. This decision would change his life forever. Let's pause for a moment. One of Rockefeller's greatest strengths was his ability to think differently from the crowd. While others chased quick profits, he focused on long-term value. While others followed excitement, he followed strategy. And that mindset would soon help him build one of the most powerful companies in history. After studying the oil industry carefully, Rockefeller became convinced that refining oil offered enormous potential. Most people were focused on drilling. They wanted to strike oil and become rich quickly. Rockefeller thought differently. He believed that refining oil would provide more stability and long-term success. In 1863, he invested in his first oil refinery. This was a major turning point in his life. The oil industry was still new and unpredictable. Prices rose and fell constantly. Many businesses failed. Yet Rockefeller remained confident. He carefully studied every aspect of the refining process. He searched for ways to improve efficiency. He looked for ways to reduce costs. He wanted his refinery to operate better than every competitor. In 1870, Rockefeller founded Standard Oil. At first, it was just another company in a growing industry. But Rockefeller had a much bigger vision. He wanted Standard Oil to become the most efficient oil company in America. Every day, he searched for ways to improve operations. He negotiated lower transportation costs. He improved production methods. He reduced waste. He trained employees carefully. He paid attention to details that many competitors ignored. These improvements may have seemed small, but over time, they created a huge advantage. Standard Oil could produce oil products more efficiently than many competitors. As a result, the company became increasingly successful. As Standard Oil expanded, Rockefeller continued acquiring additional refineries. Some owners sold their businesses willingly. Others resisted. But Rockefeller continued growing. Year after year, Standard Oil became larger and more powerful. Soon, it controlled a significant portion of America's oil refining industry. This growth was not accidental. It was the result of careful planning and long-term thinking. Many businessmen focused only on today's profits. Rockefeller focused on the future. He understood that temporary sacrifices could create enormous long-term rewards. This mindset allowed him to make decisions that many others could not understand. One of Rockefeller's greatest strengths was his obsession with efficiency. He believed that every dollar wasted was a dollar lost forever. For example, Standard Oil found ways to use materials that many companies simply threw away. Products that others considered waste were turned into useful products. This reduced costs and increased profits. Rockefeller knew that small improvements could produce large results. As Standard Oil grew, competition became fierce. Many companies wanted a share of the booming oil industry. Price wars became common. Businesses fought aggressively for customers. Some companies struggled to survive. Others went out of business completely. Rockefeller remained calm. Instead of reacting emotionally, he focused on strategy. He continued improving efficiency. He continued reducing costs. He continued strengthening Standard Oil. This disciplined approach allowed the company to outperform many competitors. Again and again, Rockefeller demonstrated the importance of long-term thinking. While others focused on immediate problems, he focused on long-term success. As Standard Oil became more powerful, criticism increased. Many people admired Rockefeller's success. Others believed he had gained too much influence. Newspapers often criticized him. Business rivals accused him of unfair practices. Some people argued that Standard Oil was becoming too dominant. The debate continued for years. Even today, historians disagree about Rockefeller. Some view him as one of the greatest businessmen in history. Others criticize certain business practices used during his rise. The truth is that Rockefeller was a complex figure. Like many influential people, his legacy includes both achievements and controversies. As the years passed, Standard Oil continued growing. Its profits increased dramatically. Its influence expanded across the country. Rockefeller's personal wealth grew at an incredible rate. By the 1880s, he had become one of the richest men in America. People across the nation knew his name. Business leaders studied his methods. Entrepreneurs admired his achievements. Yet Rockefeller remained remarkably disciplined. He continued tracking details. He continued planning carefully. He continued looking for ways to improve. Success did not make him careless. In fact, it made him even more focused. If we examine Rockefeller's life carefully, one quality appears again and again: patience. He was willing to wait for results. He was willing to think years ahead. Many people want immediate success. They want quick results, quick money, quick recognition, quick achievements. Rockefeller understood that lasting success requires time. He planted seeds and waited patiently for them to grow. That patience gave him an enormous advantage. By the end of the 19th century, Rockefeller had achieved extraordinary success. His company dominated the oil industry. His wealth continued growing. His influence extended across America. Yet the most remarkable chapter of his life was still ahead. Soon, he would become the richest man in the world. His fortune would become so large that history would remember him as the world's first billionaire. But his legacy would not be defined only by wealth. He would also become one of the greatest philanthropists in history. As Standard Oil continued growing, Rockefeller's fortune increased dramatically. Year after year, the company generated enormous profits. Its influence spread throughout America and beyond. Rockefeller owned a large share of the business. As the company grew, his personal wealth grew with it. By the early 20th century, he had become the richest man in the world. Then something remarkable happened. In 1916, Rockefeller became the world's first billionaire. Think about that for a moment. Today, we often hear about billionaires. But in Rockefeller's time, becoming a billionaire seemed almost impossible. Most people earned only a few $100s per year. A fortune of $1 billion was beyond imagination. Yet Rockefeller achieved it. His name became famous around the world. People viewed him as a symbol of extraordinary business success. Whether they admired him or criticized him, everyone knew who he was. Despite its success, Standard Oil faced increasing criticism. Many people believed the company had become too powerful. Government officials argued that its dominance reduced competition. After years of legal battles, the United States Supreme Court made a historic decision in 1911. The court ordered Standard Oil to be divided into smaller companies. Many people believed Rockefeller would lose much of his fortune. They thought the breakup would weaken his business empire. But something unexpected happened. The smaller companies remained highly successful. As their value increased, Rockefeller's wealth actually increased as well. Sometimes life surprises us. What appears to be a setback may become an opportunity. What appears to be a loss may eventually become a gain. Rockefeller understood this principle. He remained calm and patient during difficult situations. And once again, patience worked in his favor. As Rockefeller grew older, his priorities began to change. For many years, he had focused on building businesses. Now, he became increasingly interested in helping others. He believed wealth came with responsibility. He believed successful people should contribute to society. As a result, he began donating enormous amounts of money. This generosity would become one of the most important parts of his legacy. Rockefeller supported education. He supported science. He supported medical research. He supported charities. And he helped create organizations that would continue helping people long after his death. One of Rockefeller's greatest contributions was to education. He believed education had the power to transform lives. Throughout his lifetime, he donated millions of dollars to schools and universities. One of the most famous institutions he supported was the University of Chicago. His financial support helped transform it into one of America's leading universities. Thousands of students benefited from opportunities created through his generosity. Knowledge changes lives. Rockefeller understood this. Although he became famous for business, he also understood the importance of education. He wanted future generations to have opportunities that many people in his own childhood never had. Rockefeller also made significant contributions to medicine and public health. At a time when many diseases were difficult to treat, medical research required funding. Rockefeller provided that support. His donations helped scientists conduct important research. His foundations supported efforts to improve healthcare around the world. Millions of people benefited indirectly from programs funded by Rockefeller's generosity. Today, many people know him as a businessman, but his contributions to education and healthcare remain an important part of his legacy. Success is not only about what we earn. Success is also about what we contribute. Many people spend their entire lives trying to accumulate wealth. Rockefeller eventually realized that helping others could be just as meaningful as making money. The more successful he became, the more he focused on giving back. That does not mean you must be rich to help others. Every person can contribute something: time, knowledge, kindness, encouragement, support. The value of giving is not measured only by money. It is measured by the positive impact we have on other people. Rockefeller lived a long life. He witnessed tremendous changes in the world. He saw advances in technology, transportation, communication, and industry. The young boy who once sold turkeys had become one of the most famous people on earth. On May 23, 1937, John D. Rockefeller passed away at the age of 97. He left behind an extraordinary legacy. His influence on business, philanthropy, education, and healthcare continues to be felt today. More than a century later, people still study his life. They still discuss his decisions. They still learn from his successes and his mistakes. Few individuals have left such a lasting impact on history. My dear friends, the story of John D. Rockefeller reminds us that success is rarely an accident. It is built through habits. It is built through discipline. It is built through patience. And it is built through consistent effort over many years. Rockefeller was not born a billionaire. He became one. He started as a young boy from a modest family. He learned valuable lessons from his mother. He worked hard. He kept learning. He thought long term. And he never stopped improving. His journey teaches us that extraordinary success often begins with ordinary habits. No matter where you are today, you can start developing those habits. You can become more disciplined. You can become more patient. You can continue learning. And you can work steadily toward your goals. Remember, success is not determined by where you begin. It is determined by the choices you make every day.